personal credit was mismanaged. Lack of liquidity. Cash is king, we always say, and it's important to have good cash reserves on hand. And being over leveraged, having too much debt makes it difficult sometimes to do ones. And then lastly, misfinancing. So don't use short-term loan vehicles for longer-term debt. Don't buy a piece of equipment with a line of credit. Line of credits are typically used for financing cash flow cycles and short-term debt that will be paid off within 1 year. So we see that a lot when somebody gets a line of credit and they go out and they buy a big piece of equipment that's meant to be paid for over 5 or 7 years, and they put it on line of credit. So I guess the last thing I would just say is the important thing to remember is to have good two-way communication, have a relationship with your banker, so you understand what they need, they understand what your business is all about. And as you were talking, just one quick thing, we were talking about starting a small business and the difficulties and challenges. And one of the things, banks of course offer a lot of different services and have business partners, but a lot of the payroll companies now offer HR services for small businesses where they will manage all those kind of things for you. Good resource. Thanks.
Thank you, Joanne. And I want you to know that Joanne is a real can-do person, and even though she's laid out some black and whites as far as what bankers are looking for when they're looking for loans and things like that, I think that most of everything that she shared with us today is something that you want to hear before you try to go get a loan versus after you're sitting down asking for a loan. So that's what we wanted to do, is help people be prepared for that. Our next speaker on the panel is Reynold Rader. Okay, and he has his own small business, and he helps put together different types of financing and packages. And I'm going to let him explain that and share with you some of his expertise on how to get business up and rolling.
Sure, thank you. So, my name is Reynold Rader, like you said. I'm a local boy. I grew up out in Loa, Washington County. We started out as a family on welfare, actually. Went to Portland State University, graduated from Portland State, went to work for Deloitte Touche, Deloitte Haskins & Sells, depending how far back you go. So I'm a CPA by training, and that was a really good base for starting up my own small businesses. I've actually built a transmission line that connects, or helped develop a transmission line that connects Montana and Alberta, Canada. Not too many people can say they've done something like that. The company went public. We actually made a little bit of money doing that. I do a lot of renewable energy work. I have a company called Rader & Company that does tax credit or tax advantage financing, which is the main thing I want to talk to you guys about today. We're right over an old Apollo Pool building there at Murray and Cornell. And we're just a family business. We have 3 employees. But we've gotten very active in what I call tax credit financing. So what I figured out early on was that there's a lot of government programs to help subsidize businesses, and there's all kinds of tax advantages. There's depreciation, and then there's a whole slew of tax credits that nobody but a CPA could learn to love. And that's where I came in. So in a way, you've got the government that has a seat at the table. They're like your partner, but they never get a vote on anything. So this is the best partner to have, because you can take advantage of all these ways to get capital. So one of the ways, there's something called the historic tax credits. If you're developing real estate, you might want to do some research on the historic tax credit. But you can get like 20% of your costs back from the historic tax credit. We make most of our money doing what we call new market tax credit transactions. New market tax credits are a 39% tax credit that you get for making investments, basically, in what they call low-income census tracts. So we are what is called a community development entity. Rader & Company is. It means we're certified by the U.S. Treasury, a division of that called the CDFI, Community Development Financial Institution. And the industry is full of acronyms. But there's that 39% tax credit, and then the state of Oregon has a new market tax credit as well, so that's another 30%. So you go, wow, I want to do something. I want to buy something. I get a 39% federal tax credit. I get a 39% state tax credit. Do the math. I don't need to have, but 22% of the purchase price myself. It's a great deal. Well, it doesn't quite work that well. It's a little more complicated than that. I don't want to get into it here. But my point is, if you have a business and you're thinking about making an investment and it's $4 million or greater, say, I mean, there's an opportunity to maybe leverage off of some federal and state dollars to help get your business started in a low-income census tract. So you say, well, what are low-income census tracts? Well, 40% of all of the census tracts in the United States are what are called qualified census tracts. Of those, maybe another 20% are the ones that actually get things done because you have to be highly discretionary. I won't go into that, but there's a higher criteria, and it's a competitive thing. So you don't just automatically get it. You have to go to people like us, community development entities. The state of Oregon, I mentioned their program. It was a 39% tax credit. They made $200 million of basis available, so that's like $78 million in tax credits available. And in the last 2 years, all that went out the door. And it went to projects like Chaucer Foods, which is in Representative McLean's district, out in Forest Grove. They had a $10 million deal. They wanted to build a freeze-dried facility. It went there. And part of what made that deal so attractive is that you look at the demographics of the community, and the community there is, there's a high unemployment rate, there's a high poverty rate. They created, I can't remember, I think it was 40-something jobs. So a lot of this is driven off the number of jobs created. So if you're going to do something and you're only going to generate 1 or 2 jobs, you could say you can put in a solar facility. But there's a lot of construction jobs, but then there's almost no jobs afterwards. So that's not very attractive. So, but if you're going to manufacturing facility or something like that, there's ways to get the tax credit into the transaction, and it's a grant-like subsidy. The banks actually buy the tax credits in the transaction, and so the big banks like Wells Fargo and Chase, U.S. Bank. But it's a great program. It's really helped the low-income communities. It's how Union Gospel Mission in downtown Portland expanded their facility for homeless. The Salvation Army's emergency female shelter was done with new market tax credits. Pacific Recycling in Eugene. I did a transaction in Eastern Oregon Line, which is a family-owned business. So it's pretty flexible. It could be used a lot of different ways, and that's really all the detail I wanted to get into today. But there's a lot of pieces that we can talk about it some more. We're also angel investors. So I'm a member of the Oregon Angel Fund. That's a source of capital as well. And there's opportunity there. We invest, Raider Company does up to $100,000 in small businesses based on business plans if they're more like angel investments, but we'll look at other things as well. We do that in the community. I don't know what you're looking for in terms of people are looking for something in terms of financing. There's actually a package that I read that came from the Lindquist School of Business at the University of Oregon. This is actually, and I have the web address here, but this is actually a really good analysis that they did of like all the different sorts of funding that are available for businesses throughout the state. It's very comprehensive. I've not come across anything like this before. It's 2 years, so it's dated at this point, but if people want to come by, you get this web address for the name of this document. I'm happy to share that with you afterwards.
Thank you so much. Before we go to any other questions, also I wanted to just make sure that you know of a few bills that were passed in 2015 and bills that were passed in 2016 that were set out specifically to help small businesses. And one that I want to mention that happened in 2016 was actually a Senate bill, and it was about trying to make sure that small businesses could actually find their way through city, county, and state processes. And so we have a FTE, and they are in the Secretary of State's office, and it's called the Small Business Office. And we have an employee there who is more than happy to help you if you're having trouble with agencies at the city, the county, or the state level. So that helps beginning folks who have not gone through this process before get information and have an advocate, somebody who's going to help you with that process and help you through that process. Another one that passed in 2015 that I think is important because we're trying to look for those niches where we seem to need some more support for particular types of businesses. And this was a House bill, and it was for disabled veteran-owned businesses. And I think it's a spectacular one that's really trying to expand what the disadvantaged certificate can do for folks getting to start that small business. And there's a lot of resources there for you, support and information as well as some money that goes along with that program. So those are just two examples of ways we're trying to help in that area of providing support for people who want to open their doors that may not have knowledge or information basis to start, or may not have some specific types of financing to start. And so there's more of those from 2015 and 16, but those were two that I wanted to mention. So at this time, are we going to get the basket?
I think actually what we're going to do is do a final call. Does anyone else have any questions that they might want to add to this before? We have note cards and pens in the back if you didn't have an opportunity.
Do you want to get one?
They're right there on the table if you want to add
It's
to
a great
the
opportunity to ask questions.
We can take a stand-up break. Let's take a quick stand-up break while they're getting the cards.
I know this is a lot